What's this? Oh, shut up, Shawn. You know when somebody is not comfortable with a concept or a line of reasoning, because what they tend to do is try to rush through it quickly. And Shawn's point number 6 is no exception to that. He first of all makes a bold claim. He says, we live in a logical universe. And then he says, for those of you who don't believe in absolutes, are you absolutely sure? You can just hear him sniggering to himself. Well, if you want to believe in absolutes, or if you even allow for the possibility of absolutes, then yeah, he's got a pretty good case actually. If you are willing to introduce that false dichotomy of absolute and relative, if you are willing to separate reality into objective and subjective, another such false dichotomy, yeah, then you are willing to allow Shawn to snooker you on this one. But I would contest that Shawn has got the wrong end of the stick here. You see, I don't accept this separation of reality into objective and subjective. There is just reality. Now, reality is internally consistent, and due to that we see from reality emerge the things that we call facts. The division of reality in objective and subjective is a false dichotomy, and the construct of truth, this idea, truth, is in fact just a human construct. It applies only to humans. It applies to humans' internal state or their interaction with other humans. So that's why we get things like, does he speak the truth? Or are you being true to yourself? And what Shawn is guilty of in this point, and that's why he's running away from it so quickly, is that he's trying to project this concept of truth, this human idea that relates to us, onto reality. Now, I can't really blame him for that, because, to be perfectly honest with you, logicians are in fact guilty of muddying the waters here. For a very simple reason, and that's because they've used the words true and false to indicate logical states. That is very unfortunate, because even though they're very useful, they're very short, very concise, and they're good enough to convey the sort of concept that you're trying to put across. They're not actually the correct words to use. If you wanted to be pedantic about it, and you wanted to be precise about it, what you should be using instead would be terms like consistent and inconsistent. So then if you look at logic, it makes a better type of sense. You're looking at a set of axioms, and that set of axioms is either consistent, where all axioms relate to each other and build up a valid construct, or it's inconsistent. And the difference between the two is that from a consistent set of axioms, you can derive other consistent conclusions that are consistent with that set of axioms. Whereas from an inconsistent set of axioms, to translate it into plain English, once you've adopted an inconsistent set of axioms, you have arrived at La La Land, and basically after that anything can validly be concluded. Anything goes. It is precisely this confusion between the human concept of truth and the logical term true, this invalid equivocation of these two terms, that leads Shawn to reach his absurd conclusions. It also leads people to think of reality, to think of things in the real world in terms of these false dichotomies: absolute, relative, subjective, objective. Don't accept that. I don't accept it in any case. And if you don't accept that, Shawn's argument falls flat on its face. I just wanted to add a quick interjection here. I'm rejecting the separation of reality into subjective and objective. I'm rejecting this idea of absolute versus relative truth. You might think that this would lead me into some sort of fuzzy, nondescript picture of reality in which nothing can ever be established with any sort of certainty. And you couldn't be further from the truth. Like I said earlier in the video, due to reality's internal consistency, this allows for facts to emerge within reality. Things that we can establish as fact. Not only that, but also due to reality's internal consistency, those facts relate to each other in a logical manner. Think about that. That means that we can establish logical relationships between facts. And that is in fact exactly what scientific theories are all about. Trying to establish such logical relationships between the observed facts in nature. And science is incredibly successful at that. So successful that you might think that there is in fact such a thing as an objective reality. But that I would contest. It is just reality's internal consistency that we're observing here. Cheers.